Well, good day, everybody. Glad you can join me again today. Again, to continue on with dehydrated food and the cost, the savings, savings in money, savings in weight, savings in longevity of your food, storage. There's lots we're going to talk about today. So, thanks for dropping by. And today it's all going to be macaroni and sauce. All right. So let's get on to it. So, how much would you pay for that plate of food right there? And like that's a large plate. That's a lot of food right there. What if I told you that after buying all the ingredients, putting it all together, dehydrating it, and that's everything. That's buying all the vegetables, buying all the meat, buying the vacuum bags, buying the 100 cc and the 300 cc oxygen absorbers. That's everything. Everything that I spent in making these meals. How about if I told you in this one recipe I made 60 meals and it only cost me $2.93. Yeah, that's $2.93 per meal. That's it. Not the $15, $16 that you're going to get when you buy the top brands like Backpackers or Mountain House or Peak and all them. You're going to pay a lot more money for a plate this size. This plate here, oh my God, that's going to be probably cost you $30 if you went to Mountain House because you'd have to make a couple of pouches to get this variety and this amount on a plate. So, anyways, we'll continue on. We'll go through the process that why I did it and how I did it from start to finish. So, if you just bear with me, I'll get set up. All right. So let's start from the beginning. Close this off. Go back to the top. Okay, I started off with macaroni elbows, and the first thing I did, okay, there's the macaroni elbows on the sheet. So the first thing I did is I took all my elbows right out of the bag and I cooked them all so that they're still chewy. So all the elbows are cooked but still have a consistency and a nice little chew to it. I didn't want to go soft. I wanted it to be al dente. Then once I got to that point, then what I did is I put them all on the trays, put them in my machine, and started to dehydrate them. A lot of people say, well, why did you do that? Well, simple reason is it's cooked. And if you're buying pasta in a bag, that's non-cooked pasta. That's raw pasta. And I didn't want to carry raw pasta out in the field, and I didn't want raw pasta in my cupboards. I don't know how long it would keep. So I wanted to cook it, then dehydrate it, and then package it so that I get the longest life out of that pasta. That was my first step. So I did the elbows, cooked them al dente, and then I dehydrated them. Then I went on to the meat. So with the meat itself, I went with medium ground. To me, medium ground beef has a lot of flavor to it. You need the fat. The fat is the flavor, right? I understand that. But you cannot dehydrate fat. There's just no way. Fat is a negative aspect to your dehydrated food. So you got to get rid of all the fat. So you're best to go very lean. I know people say, but you're losing all the flavor. Not really, because you're going to add flavor elsewhere. So if you want to go with medium, then that's fine. It's just going to give you a little bit of more work in the upcoming steps. But I went with medium, then I went with lean. and I mixed it together a little bit. So I got a little bit of a not in between medium and lean. So the first thing I did is I weighed everything, and I started off with 25 pounds. So I ended up with 25 pounds of raw burger. Then I started cooking the burger, cooked it all down. You can see right here in the bottom of the pan, I'm starting to get the grease buildup. Even though you don't see too much fat in the burger itself, you're getting a lot of fat in the bottom of the pan. So start cooking it off. I cooked it off as much as I can. There it is there. So once it's cooked, the first thing I do is I drain it. Well, right now it shows it that it's in the sink, but this here was drained in a pot for about 5-10 minutes. And I used the back of a ladle and squeezed out all the juice I possibly can. All the fat juice, whatever I can, I drained it. Then after I was satisfied that I drained everything, then I put the colander in the sink and I washed it. I put my cold water on it and I washed it. I washed that until I could take my fingers, roll the meat in my fingers, and not feel any grease whatsoever. If I could not feel grease with my fingers, I was happy. So that's what I ended up doing with the burgers. So I did 25 pounds, quite a bit. But 25 pounds, after it was all cooked in this state right here, I took all this, put it aside, and then I weighed it. After it was all cooked, all washed, I weighed it, and I lost 13 pounds. Out of 25 pounds, I lost 13 pounds with fat and everything. I was amazed. I even put lean burger in with this, and I still lost 13 pounds. Unbelievable. So I ended up getting 11.91 pounds of cooked burger to dehydrate, which is not too bad. So right there you can see where I'm getting all the grease out. So I got it drained. Now I'm soaking up all the grease with the cloth and my ladle, getting all the grease out, and then I'm washing it, right? So I keep on doing that. Here you're going to see right here is all the meat, okay? Now this is cooked and cleaned and washed and dry. There is no spices in there whatsoever, and there is zero grease in there. I made sure I got, well, 99.9% of all the grease out of my meat. All right, so that's what I did. Then over here, it shows on the top, it shows all my pasta that I dehydrated and already bagged. So now I got the pasta already done, already dehydrated. Now I'm working on the meat to dehydrate the meat, and then I'm working on all the sauce, right? All the vegetables that go in it. So what else am I doing here? Okay, my next step. Okay, there's the meat again. So I take the meat and I start putting it in my racks. And on my racks, I got a silicone base right here. It's got the holes in it so that the air can go through. And I started spreading it out evenly on the racks. So there it is. I start loading the machine with all the meat. Okay, there's all the racks. So now the machine, this here is a 6-tray machine. May he rest in peace. I used it till the last of his days. Then I had to buy another machine with 9 racks. But this machine, I'm telling you, I used that and have used that for a long time before, and it still works. The only thing that went on it was the fan. So I'll probably have to just tear it apart and put a new fan in, and now I'll have another machine. But so now I'm going to start doing my vegetables. So I start cutting up all my vegetables and putting them in the pot. Everything that I can think of that I like in a spaghetti sauce, I start building it up. So I got the celery, I got the mushrooms, I got the carrots. There's the celery I'm starting to cut up. Okay, I throw that in the pot. There's the carrots, starting to cut all that up. Throw it in the pot. Then I put all my red peppers, yellow peppers, green peppers, sweet peppers, hot peppers. I throw all that in the pots. All my onions. I get it all in the pot. That's just an example of the garlic. So like there's a lot of garlic in the pot. I cut all that up. I throw that in the pot. So that's what it looks like. That's just, there's nothing in there. That's just my vegetables. There's the size of my pot. And I said, oh my God, I'm not even, I got a long way to go and my pot is already full. So I said, oh, I'm going to have to do something about that. So I went downstairs and I got my big pot. And as you can see, between the two pots, there's the ingredients in this pot. But as soon as I dump the ingredients in the other pot, you can't even see it. But it's in there. There it is, way down there. So, so now I got room to continue on. So, anyways, now I got all this stuff here in the pot. I started throwing in all my tomatoes inside, my stewed tomatoes. So right here is all the ingredients that I put in. So on the right hand side, I'm going to put 3 full-size cans of spaghetti sauce. What's that? 398 milliliters. Then 369 milliliters of tomato paste. I'll put a couple cans of that. Then I got the 4 big jars of just sauce, spaghetti sauce. I'll throw all that in. So that's just to show you the size of that pot. That's a major pot. So now that's all the sauce in the pot. There's all the sauce. So the vegetables on the bottom, all the sauce and everything's on top. Now it's time for the spices. I still put garlic powder in, even though I got a lot of garlic. I wanted a little bit more garlic powder. I got the Italian seasoning. I got basil. I got thyme. I got a little bit of oregano. I got the pepper, the salt. I got crushed red peppers. Again, that's dehydrated out of my garden. And then parsley flakes. So that's also all in there. I'm not going to go through, it's not going through the recipe, but just there's all my stuff. Okay, so I got certain amounts of everything that I dump in the sauce. And just to give you a reference, that's a lot of spices. So I didn't know what else to do, so I says, you know what, I'll use my hand, which I got a large hand, as a reference. So there's my hand, just to give you an idea on the amount of spice that I put in there. And you can see it, there's lots. So there's the sauce. I'm starting to mix it all up. There it is there. Okay, now I'm going back to the meat. So now the meat is starting to dehydrate. So that's good. So now I'm weighing all the meat. There it is, all crumbled up. It'll show you, I don't know how, it looks, you can see how dry it is. Very dry. Very crumbly. But I didn't want small little bits. I wanted it like this. I wanted to keep it this size. That way when you rehydrate it, you got a nice meat in there. Okay? When it rehydrates, it's going to be nice. So I got that all done. So now I put my pot on the stove and I start cooking it. So now she's starting to cook, and it took me a while to, that's a big pot. So again, there's more meat I'm doing there. I'll just tilt the camera. Okay. Again, more drying. Okay, now I'm starting to weigh it and bag it. So I want to weigh it and bag it so that when I start making my meal, I'll know how much meat I have and how much to put in my meals. Sauce. Okay, time to dehydrate the sauce. So let me close that and go to the sauce itself. So right here, just to show you how thick that sauce is thick. And because there is no meat product in there whatsoever, I have no fats. That's just pure goodness, 0 fats. So that's going to be very easy to dehydrate, eh? So there it is here. Just to show you, I'm weighing how much. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to know how much to build my meals, right? So this is a nice size bowl for me. And usually what I do when I have pasta is I'll use roughly this much sauce, and then I'll heat that with all the noodles, mix it up with a couple of pieces of bread, and that's a meal. So I'm trying to get what you know what I consider is going to be a full plate for myself. And then I do it again for with the wife. So I asked the wife the same thing. What would she eat? What does she eat? And we came up with a measurement for her also. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm kind of giving myself some numbers to work with for the future, right? So that's what I'm putting together. So now, again, I'm using my leather trays there, even though they're plastic, they're called leather trays. So now I got it all spread out with the sauce, eh? So all the sauce is spread out evenly. I try to make it as the same consistency all the way around, same thickness, and I try to get it even. Just give you another example there. And like that's a healthy sauce. You got, man, it's loaded with goodness, loaded with goodness. So now that all my trays are starting to get filled up, again, I fill up my machine and I start dehydrating. And that's a process. Okay, that's just some cozies that I made for my pots for when I'm on the trail. There, I'll go back there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what I want to do is when I'm out on the trail and I want to cook my meals and I want to reheat them and rehydrate them, or I want to make my own cozies for my own pots. That way, it makes it so much easier to rehydrate my meals, out in the woodlands, out on the trail. So I took my pots and I started making cozies for them, which turned out great. I'm telling you, it was great. It was a good craft. It's exactly what I wanted, and it works. There it is there. So now I put my meals inside of there. I wrap it up with that. The heat remains in there for a long, long time. And then after I give it a proper time, then, I can carry on and open her up and enjoy my meal. So right here is basically the sauce after it's been. There's some more pictures up here. So now I'm taking the sauce out of the dehydrator, right? And that's exactly what it did. It's it's very thin, very, very thin. I broke it up a little bit just to show it. There it is. Yeah, very, very thin. There's the bowl there. And again, what I did is I weighed everything, right? I weighed how much sauce was in the bowl right here. See, 470 grams is what I consider a good bowl. So my very, very first set of dehydrating, I put exactly 6 bowls in the dehydrator. So I put one of these bowls on all 6 of my shelves. That way, after it was dehydrated, I weighed every single one and wrote it all down. And I'm telling you, it was less than a half a gram to a gram off after I was done. So I did that for the first little while. Then after that, I just loaded everything up because I got my numbers. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do to get this wet. I knew exactly how much dry this was once it was dehydrated. So now that it's dehydrated, I started to weigh it again. 70 grams. You seen that, eh? That's 70 grams. That's 470. Big difference. So now that it's dehydrated, I wanted to start putting it together. So I started weighing everything. And, okay, down here again, I'm just spreading out all the sauce. It's nice and thick because I'm getting rid of the water, so no use adding a lot of liquid, right? At this point, I didn't put any water when I was making my sauce like I usually do to make it a little liquidy. I did not do that. The wetness that you see here is out of the stewed tomatoes out of my garden and all the other sauce that I put in. That was it. There was no water added. That spread out, and then now it's time to put my meal together. So I'll get right back to you. So right here, now right here, I'm starting to get everything together. Okay, I'm starting to put my meal together. Let me just lower the camera a bit without messing it up. So like I said, I measured exactly how much sauce I wanted that was in that bowl. That had to be calculated. Then I wanted to know what that was. So that was dehydrated, pure dehydrated. And then I wanted to add my meat. So my meat here, I put 25 grams. Then my elbows, I put 100 grams. Then when I was looking at it again, I said that the sauce was a little off balance because of my meat. So I ended up changing the sauce and putting in about 45 grams. So the whole thing came to about 165 grams for this bowl. So at 165 grams, this is dehydrated. So now, that was my calculation for a good plate of food. So now it's time to test it out to see if I'm correct and what's going to happen once I rehydrate it. So, time to get out my pots. Again, there's my lined pot. There's my koozie. I put all the ingredients in here. And now it's time to figure out the liquid. So that took a little trial and error. I know they always say to flood your meal with liquid and then let it rehydrate. But I wanted to make sure that it came out perfect. So what I did is I took a big pot of water with over 8 cups of water in it, and I brought it to a rapid boil, and it boiled good. Then I measured 4 cups of water in this here measuring cup and started flooding the bowl. Then I'd flood the bowl and I could calculate how much I used. So by doing that, there's my measurement. So I started with 1,000 milliliters. I'm down to probably, I'm going to say 650 left here because there's the water line here. 650, right? So I used 350 milliliters of water. So that's in my koozie now, and that's here, I'll show you the top. So that's in there, and it's starting to rehydrate. So in doing that, I closed her up. I let it sit for, I'm going to say 16 minutes. About 16 minutes. I let it sit. Then it's time to check it out. So I'm starting to, so this is a double cozy because I had 2 pots. So I started taking it apart, opening it up, and there it is. So I looked at that, and I started to look at some of the chunks, started to examine it. To me, it was good. There's nothing wrong with it at all. The wife and I really enjoyed it, but I like mine a little bit more saucy. So I changed the recipe again. We sat down, we ate that meal. The meal was great. There was nothing wrong with it. But we waited for about another couple of weeks, and I wanted to make it again. So I did the exact same scenario, the exact same thing. I boiled all my water, I made sure it was done right. I used the same method, but this time I put 500 milliliters of hot water, and then I let it sit for 16 to 18 minutes. And after it sat for about that length of time, this is the plate that I ended up getting. That was a nice sized plate, and the wife said that was perfect for her. So I said, right on. So for the wife, that was 165 grams of dehydrated food, rehydrated, made that plate of pasta for the wife. So that, a nice piece of buttered bread or some buns or garlic toast, that was perfect for her. Myself, I just wanted a little bit more, so I made mine 175. So hers was 165, I made mine 175, and that's it there. So I ended up getting, here, I'll get a better picture. There we go. There's a nice plate right there. So I'll back up the camera a bit. So there's a nice plate of food right there. So that there is 75 grams of dehydrated food. And when I weighed that, just the food itself was 700 grams. So that's a full plate. Now, when the wife and I are alone, I usually make only a batch and a half, and we'll split it. Works great. But if I'm going out in the woods and I'm playing hard all day and hunting and doing whatever, fishing and what that, when I come back to the campsite and I want to cook a meal, make a meal, I want a full belly when I go to bed. That's the plate I want right there to enjoy. This, couple of buns, and that's an excellent meal. So, what did I do? Well, it turned out great. That was my formula. So now I got everything weighed. I know exactly what everything weighed. So right here I have my my elbows dehydrated. I got my ground beef dehydrated, and then I got all my sauce dehydrated. I had multiple bags of each. Don't worry. I'm only showing 3 right now, but I had lots. So now it's time to put my packaging together. So what I did is I weighed everything, like I said, for all my dry ingredients. Then once all my dry ingredients was put together, there it was in the bowl. Doesn't look like much. Hey, it doesn't look like too much at all, but that is a full plate of food. So now I weighed everything. I started off with all my macaroni, then I threw in my my burger, then I threw in my pasta. I came out with the 170, 165 for the wife, 170, 175 for myself. Then once I did that, we started doing all the packaging. So now we're starting to package everything. So we're using our sealer, vacuum sealer. We got it all in there. This here is paper towel. So we put paper towel around it and then started dehydrating it. The paper towel for me was because the first 2 attempts was the sauce was so sharp that as it was vacuuming the air out, the sauce started to put little holes in the bag. So it was losing its vacuum seal. So by us wrapping it with paper towelettes, it stopped that and it worked great. Then once we started doing that, we put in all, we made sure too, that we vacuum sealed everything. We got our oxygen absorbers and everything. So on the trail, you just zip her off, throw in your water, and away you go. But I wanted to remember that. So there's the pack. That was my first batch. So there's everything that I did there. There's 60 meals right there. 60 meals, 60 bags. So what I did is I took each bag and I put down the ingredients of what was in it, and exactly how much water you need for every serving. For me, I know exactly how I like my plate. And again, I like it to have a little bit of sauce in it. This is how I like it. I like to be able to dip my bread in there and absorb it, and that's the way I like it. So I know that my meal takes exactly 500 milliliters of boiling hot water in with this mix, put in my cozy in the pot, seal it 18 minutes, and bang, you got this. So that's a great way to do something. So from here, add the water to here. That's amazing. So by doing that, I ended up with a lot of meals, and then we ended up boxing it off. We dated it, boxed it off, and now when I want to use it, I just go in there, discuss with the wife what she wants to bring out packing, whether it's going to be pasta, whether it's going to be chili, whether it's going to be eggs, whatever we're dehydrating. We just grab a couple of packs and away we go. So by doing that, how much did this meal cost? Like I said, it was only $2.93 right here for that plate. Here, let me back up the camera a bit. So that plate of goodness right there, $2.93. Mountain House, you'd probably have to heat up probably 2.5 bags to get that goodness right there. All right. And they're what? Pasta for Mountain House, they're running $12 to $15 per pouch. Well, you know what? Right there, it's a savings. So anyways, that's why it's very important to think about what you're doing out on the trail. Think about what you want for a meal. And then coming home, make your meal, dehydrate it, put it together, and you're saving your money. You don't have to give all your hard-earned cash to all these big corporations. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it. Unless you just have no time in the day or no time on the weekend, then fine. But myself, I just can't see myself giving them all my hard-earned money. So I decided I'm going to start dehydrating and making my own meals. It's cheaper. I know exactly what's in that plate. I know everything that's in that plate. There's no preservatives, no nothing in that plate. It's 100% goodness. So anyways, if I'm going to post something, it's going to be well, it's already on my Facebook. But anyways, I got everything broke down to how much it costs. So like, to give you an example, my elbows, they cost $15. So just by telling you how much it costs, I could tell you that was 15 900-gram bags of pasta, because it was 99 cents a bag for pasta for 900 grams. So I started off with 25 pounds of medium lean, I mixed them both, of ground beef. That itself I got on special. It was amazing special. I walked into that grocery store, I'm telling you, just at the right time. So I paid exactly $1.99 a pound, and it was a 1-day special. So I loaded up my cart, and I loaded up my cart with about 80 pounds, but I only used 25 pounds for this recipe. So that was a good deal. So that was $50. Pasta elbows was 15. Tomato sauce and tomato paste was $6.90. Diced tomatoes was $10. The big bottles of pure sauce, that was $30. Mushrooms was 12. Onions $2.50. Peppers, I had red peppers, yellow peppers, green peppers, hot peppers. Now that was all out of my garden, so that was pretty hard to judge how much it costs. So when I went grocery shopping, I kind of I kind of took how much they were selling their peppers for, and kind of saying, okay, this is what you'd probably pay in the fall, and I figured there's probably between 20 and $28 worth of peppers. Again, celery and carrots, that was out of my garden. I figured that was probably 7, $8 there if you were going to buy it with the garlic. Okay, the vacuum bags, I for 60 bags, 8-inch by 12-inch, well, that was $17. Then the absorbents, the oxygen absorbers, that was $7.50. So basically, I'm looking at to make that meal 60 times, because that was 60 packages, it cost me $175. So $175, I got 60 of these meals. So if you divide that, that's $2.93 per meal. I think that's a cat's ass there, that's for sure. It's the best thing. So, anyways, save your money, buy yourself a dehydrator, and give it a shot. You're not going to regret it. Anyways, thanks for dropping by. Again, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, hit the bell, and we'll see you with maybe another recipe or maybe something new. And you guys take care. Bye now.